The feeling of emptiness can be exhausting, it can be scary, and simply feeling empty is just being there without any feelings. You do not know if you're angry, if you are happy, if you're sad. You're just there and you do not know how to feel about it. Hello wonderful people of the internet, my name is Caroline Kihugu. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In case you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you my friend for always coming back. Today I would like to talk about the topic about the feeling when you feel empty inside and you do not know how to deal with it. And before you ask me how I'm doing, I'm feeling well. I am doing well. I feel like some of the videos I've done feel like I am not well, and I feel like I've not been any better. I am so well. I am at a point where I recognize and I feel the feeling I'm feeling in the moment. And for my mom's sake and two of my friends who always ask, are you genuinely happy? Yes, mom, I'm happy. I am genuinely happy. And I can never appreciate you enough for asking if I'm genuinely happy. I am happy. I am not faking it. I am very, very happy. And I couldn't change it for the world at the moment. I know it's not the best time economically, but then in terms of my feelings, I'm very, very happy. At the point where I am, I can feel my feelings, I can feel my emotions and live my emotions. I can easily recognize when I'm not doing okay and when I'm okay. And yeah, I feel like that's the state I'm in. Of course, there are days when you're not okay, but then I feel like I am generally okay. I feel like I am genuinely happy, and I cannot trade my health for anything at the moment. I'm very conscious about the things I do, and I'm very conscious about my feelings. So I am genuinely okay. And I want to believe that somebody who is not okay do not recognize that they are not okay. Like when you're not okay, you believe that you are still okay. But then for me to identify some of these traits I'm going to talk about, I feel like I am genuinely okay. I feel like I've been in that point where I was very empty, I was very lonely, and now I know better and I feel better. And I recognize some of the traits I had that made me feel empty. And for me to talk about this is because I know somebody is out there feeling very empty and they do not know whom to talk out with, whom to tell whatever they are feeling, or even to feel the way they are feeling. Some of the traits as to how I knew that I was not okay and I felt empty is, I think I confused being busy with feeling empty. Like I would do anything just not to be alone with my thoughts, with my feeling. I would literally do anything, including sleeping or watching a movie every day, all day, just not to think just not to feel how I was feeling. As long as the thing made me feel full or okay, then I was okay doing it. Which brings me to the next point about nothing excited me. Nothing excites you when you feel empty. Everything feels like a bother. Like when you are told, let's go out. You feel like you're being bothered. Let's do this. It's just so, it feels so much like, it feels like a lot of work. Especially if all you want to do is do nothing and maybe stay alone doing a lot of nothing. While other people are the opposite. They feel very excited about very little things. They just laugh. They just talk. They just want to be around people, just not to go through the emotion about their feeling. They're just excited. They're just happy for other things other than just listening or having to feel how they feel at the moment. Like, I don't know if I'm making sense, but there are people who would like just get into a company or volunteer to do something that will make them excited, as long as they are not alone to feel their emotions, or as long as they are not as long as it does not make them uncomfortable, as long as it does not push them to feeling their feeling, they're just okay, and that excites them. And the opposite of that is the people like me who feel like they do not want to do much. They just don't feel excited about things. Everything feels like a bother to them, including taking care of yourself. The tiniest details, even cooking feels like a lot of work. Like, we literally don't feel like doing anything. The next point I wrote is, you do not want to be alone. There are these people, like I said before, there are these people who, they just want to be around people, and that just excites them. That just make them feel normal. But then one thing they're not doing is they're not letting themselves feel the feeling, which will bring a problem in the future, which will pile up their thoughts to a point that they might break. And the opposite of that is the person who withdraws. That is me. Whenever I feel empty, whenever I'm not okay, I withdraw from people, I withdraw from things, and all I do is I just want to be indoors. I feel like I've repeated myself on that point. Whenever you are empty, you do not appreciate the moment. Like, you do not just stop at a time and feel, wow, this thing is beautiful, this moment is uplifting, this moment is wonderful. Like, whenever you feel empty, nothing is interesting, nothing is beautiful to you. Everything feels just normal, like it's just there. You do not even notice the moment. All you feel is the bitterness, all you feel is the emptiness. You just don't know how to feel. Whenever you feel empty, you are just not emotionally available in the present world. And that could be romantically. That is, even if you are dating, you will start feeling like you do not deserve that person. You feel like you're not doing the right thing with your partner. Dating feels like a lot of work. You push your partners away. You push your partner away, not partners. You push your partner away. Like, you don't feel like you have anything to offer. So you push people away. Not just partners, but also friends. Career-wise, you do not work very well because you are not feeling yourself. You are not feeling your emotions. And I know we are told not to work with emotions, but I know that if you are not mentally okay, then there is no way you will do a good job. And okay, I wrote some things about why do you feel empty, and I feel like mostly it's because we are not living in the moment. Like, one, I do not take the time to appreciate how I feel at the moment. I do not take the time to appreciate what's going on with the moment, but then I'm always like, in the future, I want this thing to happen in the future. I want, like, we've planned our lives and we feel like this is how our life should be. But then if you do not achieve it, or if you do not give yourself time, or if you're so focused about the future and challenges come by, you are left feeling empty. You feel empty because, one, you feel like a failure. Two, you are not in the moment. Which brings me to the next point about, we feel empty because we are not really with ourselves. And especially for business owners, there is something that we do not want to acknowledge that is not going well, especially when you're not making profits. And you know very well you're not making profits, but then you do not want to accept it. Like, you keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing to finance the business. You keep pushing yourself to the limit without really knowing to what limit, to what point should I go. And if you are not careful with it, you will feel empty. Because entrepreneurship, or being a business owner, is a lonely job, is a lonely place. And if you do not give yourself the credit, then mostly you feel like a failure. You feel like you've let yourself down. you basically just feel empty. Something else I feel like let me down and I was left feeling empty is because mostly I did not have enough self-confidence, and I always felt like somebody else is much better than me, but then I did not take the time to appreciate my strengths. And all along I was there beating myself up. Why are you such a loser? Why are you not doing this better than this? You see, why can't you do this thing better? And if you never stop and give yourself some credit, then in the long run you will feel lost. In the long run you will be left empty without knowing how to come out of that situation. So just give yourself enough credit. I feel like the other thing that mostly leaves us empty or makes us empty is past trauma. And this one takes a lot, and especially if you do not have a supporting system, this one can ruin you. There was a time I felt this so empty, and especially when I miscarried. That was a very difficult time for me. I felt so empty, especially considering that I was going through all that by myself. And I know you want to ask questions, but then my mom is my friend, but then I didn't feel like I would tell her. I know she would support me, but then I feel like I wouldn't tell her because I didn't want her to worry. So instead I felt like it would be much easier for her, knowing after when I'm already out of that state. Now she knows, we've talked about it, but then when I was going through that, I felt like if I tell her what I'm going through, I will just worry her. And I was saying, being that I went through that phase on my own, even though I told people about it later, going through it was stressing, it was painful, and most of the nights, most of the days, I felt empty. I felt like I did not have much to offer. I just didn't feel my feelings, in short. I just didn't know how to feel, if that makes sense. And I feel like crying was the only way I could let myself be at the moment. But then in terms of how I felt, how losing my child or losing my pregnancy made me feel, I did not know how to feel. I was not sad, I was not happy, I was not like broken. I just didn't know how to feel. I was just there, I felt like a very, very big hole in my heart that would not be filled. Like, it was so painful and I felt so empty. I didn't know how to feel about it. And at some point, okay, most of the time, the only thing I did was cry. And that felt like maybe that's the only thing I would feel. Now I'm not crying. I'm very much okay. Although nobody ever feels okay for loss completely, but then I think I've learned to live with it. And I've learned to feel and to accept that it was not my fault. It was just a terrible accident, so I'm okay. And I also wrote about how to overcome the feeling of emptiness. And one thing I know is that you have to acknowledge how you're feeling. You cannot overcome something if you do not know it is there. And unless you acknowledge that you're not okay and you're empty inside, and start feeding your mind and your heart with new things, positive things, then there is no way you can heal from that. There is no way you can come out of that. I feel like I'm breaking my voice. So unless you acknowledge your feelings, then it's hard to heal from them. Okay, another thing on how to overcome the emptiness is identify what makes you feel empty. I felt empty about losing my child, about losing my pregnancy. But then on top of that, I knew it was not my fault. Maybe the pregnancy was bound to happen to let me know that I can have children, or it's God's answered prayer, but then it is not the time. I don't know, and there is no way you can ever tell with such a thing. Something else I learned in overcoming the feeling of emptiness is asking myself the question, or the question is there anything I can do about it? And if there is something I can do about it, what do I do to change? And if it's not something I cannot change, how do I live with it? And I feel like by answering this, it improved how I felt. And I started feeling things. I started feeling whole again. And I overcame the feeling of not feeling anything and just being there, feeling empty. Something else is about talking it with people who matter. I cannot appreciate my circle enough. I have one of the great friends. I have one of the great people around me. And I'll not take it for granted. I think I now understand what Mr. Jiggy meant when he said that at 25, he learned to seek friends who are almost twice his age. And I feel like with people who are a bit more elderly, with people who are a bit more mature than I am, I feel like I am in a position where I've been able to talk about my feelings more. And these are people who have been in my situation or worse, and they have seen a lot. So having such I've been in a position where I've been able to grow my social capital in a better way, and with people who are a bit older than me, with people who understand my struggles and have been there before. They know they overcame this, and they know much more than I do. So by talking with them, I feel like I can overcome these things much easier, and it makes me feel good about it. It makes me feel great about myself. I know nobody can help you overcome the feeling unless you yourself acknowledge it and you want to make yourself feel better. Unless you want to overcome the emptiness feeling, nobody else can leave the feeling for you. Nobody else can help you unless you want to help yourself. I hope this makes sense. I know the feeling of emptiness. I know the feel of people expect you to feel something, maybe be angry, be happy, but then you're in a position where you cannot, or you do not feel anything. And it sucks. I know for a fact that it sucks a lot. Not being able to think anything, not being able to feel anything. You're just there feeling like it's just a deep pain. It's just a deep hole in your heart, filled with nothing, just empty, hole, dark hole that you're trying to fill, but then you do not know what to fill it with because you do not even know how to feel about it. And it sucks. Trust me, no, and it sucks. You just want to feel something, you just want to feel the pain, but then you feel nothing. I know that feeling. Anyway, I hope that's beneficial. I would like to know about your comments in the comment section below. Till next time, bye.